Pretty good line at the dump station, and the dumpsters are really full. This place is getting packed. We've even got lines at the water station here, but it's still, you know, pretty reasonable, especially if you don't have to wait in the dump line to dump your tanks, because you could be waiting there for at least an hour, I'd say, in general, unless you pick the really good times. And if you watch my videos before, you'll know exactly what times those are, at least the ones that I've found. Put it down in the comments if you guys got any really good tips for good times to dump at the dump station during the RV show, which is the busiest time of the year here in Quartzsite. Looks like we're going to be the next in line here to get water. You can see the dangers here of having only a tent during windstorms like this. Your tent might not survive. Now you can see what a windstorm does to a pop-out camper. See how the wind gets in through the screens? It kind of inflates it from the inside. It's not too bad. Like, I think that would be pretty sturdy. But probably not the most comfortable in a windstorm like this. A lot of different ways you can live out here. Here's somebody with a tent, and another tent is not really surviving very well. And here's somebody with the tiniest camper I've seen yet. And right here, I'm driving through a bunch of really loose dust, so I want to drive really slow, especially in a windstorm like this. Here's another tent that is pretty trashed. There's my dogs. Come on. All right. Come on, dogs. Yeah, we're still here, you guys. This is Quartzsite. I'll show you guys around in a little bit. I know it's been a while since we made a video, and the reason for that is I caught the Q flu. That's what I'm going to call it. Probably I had a cold or flu, but I mean, it was a flu, something like that, because I did spew, you know, one night in the trailer. Wasn't too bad, but it's been almost a week now, and I'm pretty much better right now. I got probably a couple more days, and then I'll be back to 100%, so I'm probably about 80% of normal. And I thought I could tell you guys about, like, what it's like to be a nomad and be alone in a trailer while you're sick, you know, how that feels. I've seen other nomads do that. Van lifers tend to do that. They're like, oh, I'm sick and alone, stuck out here in the middle of nowhere. Good thing for me was, you know, I was in Quartzsite, so there's plenty of places for me to get supplies if I needed to. The RV show is going on still, and I got sick basically the first day of the RV show, so I haven't even been to the RV show. You know, I didn't want to go get anybody else sick there. I also haven't been to pick up mail, haven't been grocery shopping. You know, I haven't gone anywhere really. Yesterday was the first day I even left camp to just go get some water because I was out of water. So feeling a lot better now. But I was pretty miserable, at least for 4 or 5 days. And that's just one of the things when you come to a place like this where there's a lot of people and you start kind of putzing around doing things in town, then, you know, you're going to pick up things. And I wonder sometimes, like, is that because, you know, I don't come into contact with people that often, and, you know, like I'm always telling you guys, I try to avoid going into stores as much as I can. And it's not because I'm not trying to get sick. It's just because I'm not inspired when I go into stores. It doesn't make me feel good. I feel really good out here. And I just kind of like to go to the store, pick up my groceries, get my supplies, whatever tools I need, and then come back to camp as quick as possible. Not just here in Quartzsite, but as you can see in all of our videos in the past, I spent a lot of time outside in our campsite, in our trailer, putzing around. I'm just not big on shopping, you know, going into a store, spending time in there. And I did have a couple things that I needed to do, so I ended up having to wait in a line in a certain business, and there were people coughing and hacking, and I was thinking like, oh, you know, I haven't been this close to like this many people. There's probably like 40 or 50 people in this one kind of small building, small like room inside of a building, and they were hacking, and I was thinking, you know, maybe it's just I'm not around enough people, but these people sound really unhealthy. And I was thinking in my head, I was like, well, don't judge. Like, people just have, you know, chronic coughs from time to time. You're probably not going to pick up anything here. And I started feeling my own breathing. I'm like, you know, maybe I breathe like that. Do I breathe really heavy? Am I like constantly like hacking stuff up and not noticing it? Am I coughing, you know, kind of regularly and not noticing it? And I'm like, wow, you know, I feel like my lungs feel perfectly fine, and I'm not hacking or coughing or anything. These people seem unhealthy. And, you know, I don't know if it's chronic for them or whatever, but I mean, that's got to be where I picked it up. And so 3 days later is when I first noticed, ooh, I feel kind of swirly and nauseous, that kind of thing. So just so you guys know, if you're in Quartzsite, then if you start feeling that way, then you know you might have got the Q flu. If you go to Nomadic Fanatics channel, you know, I know he's been sick a few times, and he's really sociable. He really socializes with a lot of people around in Quartzsite. I know they just had a meetup recently, and so he's picked up a few of the viruses going around. If you feel kind of swirly, and then my stomach was hurting, and then I was, just body aches, and of course really tired, but a lot of like body aches, and my joints were really achy. And the worst thing for me was just a headache, like a really strong headache. Oh, it hurts so much. I mean, I can still just imagine like what it felt like. Right now, I have just a tiniest little headache, and that's really unusual for me in general to have a headache. But I feel so much better. The headache was the worst. And then I would cough a little bit. And whenever I would cough, oh, that hurts so much in my head. And for me, I found just taking a couple ibuprofen about every 4 to 5 hours. So I was taking 2 ibuprofen probably 4 times a day. Maybe every once in a while in the middle of the night, I would get up and take a couple. And that really helped the most. There's probably other things you can do. Probably NyQuil would have helped me sleep a little better. Hot flashes. Oh yeah, I was getting a lot of hot flashes, and then cold flashes. I would be hot and cold at the same time. I'd be sweating and hot and cold, just like flop sweat for a couple days. I would just break out in these flop sweats, and you know, really not the worst. Like could have been a lot worse, but I was pretty miserable. So that's why I didn't do any videos. I thought I could. I know that's what a lot of nomads do, like I was saying, but I thought, well, when I watch my favorite nomads and they're talking about getting sick, like if you watch Cat Lady Van, every once in a while she gets sick, and it'll say, like usually in the title of her video, you know, sick and alone in my van. I usually skip those videos myself as a viewer, as an audience to those kind of channels. I don't really want to see people sick when I'm feeling great and feeling healthy and we're out exploring and having a good time. So that's why I made the decision not to make Sick and Alone in the trailer. I was trapped in there a lot. A lot of times though, I would, if it wasn't windy out, which it has been lately, man, we had a serious windstorm here. A lot has happened. But I would sit out in the sun because I felt like, oh, that felt really good because I could get really warm that way, and it felt good just to get fresh air. But otherwise, I mean, I was pretty much stuck in the trailer, just trapped alone as a nomad and sick. And so I'm still kind of, you know, when you get sick and you feel kind of out of it, kind of like loopy. I mean, I was pretty out of it, pretty loopy. You have these weird thoughts, crazy dreams, just crazy weird dreams, annoying dreams, and intense and just annoying. You close your eyes and just these crazy like visions. And I still feel a little bit like that, but not much. So I thought I'd catch you guys up on some of the stuff that has happened. But at the same time, I hope you can forgive me if I kind of ramble a little bit here and I might lose my train of thought a little bit. It's just going to be kind of story time. I will show you guys the dogs a little bit. And I picked up a package before I got sick that was sent from one of you subscribers, and I'll show you what I got. It was for the dogs, and it's pretty cool. But other than that, let's just do a little story time here. A couple things that have happened lately that were kind of bizarre. I mean, you know, it's Quartzsite bizarre. It's not really that crazy. But it's like the most exciting thing that's happened. I was in my trailer and yeah, I was sick. I was just sick, resting. I slept a lot. I tried to sleep so much. One day, I was in bed for 13 hours. But I was sleeping and I heard somebody screaming. It sounded like a little kid, which is kind of weird because there really aren't that many little kids out here. And so I thought, oh, it's a little kid. They're just playing, screaming and stuff. No big deal. But then it sounded like they were going, help, help. And I kind of tuned in a little bit more to the sound. And I was like, yeah, someone's yelling for help. They need help. They must need help. I mean, they're screaming, help, help me. Like really straining their voice. So I stepped outside and it was this older woman. She was probably 65, 70. She was just kind of wearing looked like sweatpants and a t-shirt. She didn't have any water bottle or anything, but she comes out of the desert here, out of the wash. And back here behind our camp is just, it's endless wash all the way to the mountains. I don't know how many miles it is, but it must be a few miles. You can hike out there to the mountains for miles. And I've done that before with the dogs. You've seen that in our videos, and we're going to do that together. You and I will do that maybe in the next video or a couple videos. And that's going to be a really fun video. I'm really looking forward to that. I just need to feel a little bit better before I go on a longish hike. But she had come out of the wash and into this area here where there's probably 15 other people camped right here in this immediate little area. She's screaming for help. And I stepped outside and I was like, oh yeah, she's freaked out. She was really freaked out. I was like, it's okay, it's all right. You know, I'm here, or like, you know, there's somebody here to help you. Like, I can help you out, whatever you need, I can help, even though, you know, I'm sick or whatever. So I kept my distance, you know, I didn't want to get anybody sick, but I asked her what was wrong. She's like, where's my camp? Where's my camp? She's almost like kind of crying. In fact, I think she might have been crying. And she said, where's the rainbow flag? Where's the rainbow flag? And a lot of campers here, they'll put flags up. And of course, there's a lot of different kinds of flags. And in fact, there's a lot of rainbow flags. There's a lot of American flags. There's a lot of yellow flags. There's a lot of Gadsden flags. There's all kinds of flags that people fly out here. But there's not just one. There's multiple. So if you say, oh, where's the Trump flag? It's like, well, there's a lot of them. You know, where's the American flag? Well, there's a lot of them. She's like, where's the rainbow flag? And I'm like, well, there's quite a few. I've seen quite a few. So I pointed out a couple to her. And she said, I was lost in the wash. I was like, yeah, you know, you do got to be careful out there. I've been lost too. You really do got to be careful out there. She said, yeah, I was really freaking out. I was panicking out there all alone. And then she was kind of upset that nobody out here was helping her. But there was nobody out here. There was nobody walking around. And I guess I was the first person to step outside of my rig to offer her assistance. But that's something, you know, that we should talk about is, I don't know if that happens out here regularly where people get lost out in the desert and maybe they get dehydrated or they get injured out there. But if you don't have your phone with you, or if you don't know how to use it properly, it's super easy to get lost. And you think the desert's flat and you're going to be able to see your flag or your camp no matter how far out you go. But the washes out here do kind of roll, and the desert does kind of roll. There's little hills and things like that. And of course, there's a lot of trees. You know, here we got, these are creosote bushes, and this is about as big as they get around here. But the Palo Verde trees, and is it ironwood trees that are out here? They're pretty big, and they'll block a lot of your view. And you'll think, oh, that big tree right there, I can't miss that. But you hike out there for, 5 or 10 minutes and you turn around, you're not going to be able to see your tree. You're not going to be able to see your flag. You're not going to be able to see your camp. And you might not realize that until you turn around. And if you've hiked for half hour kind of in one direction, you turn around, you're going to be lost. And you're going to say, oh, well, I know if I hike towards that peak, that should be about where I'm camped. But depending on which direction you've hiked, it's not really the best marker, because you're trying to get back within, a mile or two from your camp. Because if you end up miles away from your camp, especially if you don't have water or sun protection, something like that, then you could fry out here. And, I've panicked before a little bit, not like freaking out, but I'm like, whoa, this is kind of scary out here, because I really don't know which direction to hike. And I'm tired because I've been hiking a lot. My feet are sore, my legs are sore, the dogs might be tired. And yeah, the last time I remember, I had both dogs with me and I got lost out there and I didn't have my phone with me. And I don't know why I didn't have my phone with me. It was really stupid, but I didn't. And then I was relying on the dogs to get me back. And that was back when Dodger could walk just fine. He didn't have his hurt back leg. And I was having trouble trusting him that he was taking me in the best direction to get back home. Usually he's really good at that, but as he gets older, he's not quite as trustworthy in that sense. And they're looking up at me like, we want to get back to camp. We're done hiking. We want to go back to camp. So eventually you kind of get back to the wash. You start to see a trailer or a rig out there, and you're like, well, if I hike towards the rigs, that should be the camping area that I'm at. And it was, but we still had a mile to go. We were way off course. So then you get in the wash and you hike. You have to figure out which direction. Oh, now do I turn left or do I turn right? Because if you go the wrong way, and that's what happened, is I ended up going the wrong way. And then you kind of realize that, like, I think I'm going back out away from my camp, but still within the camping area. And this is just extending our whole hike out here. And I'm tired and the dogs are tired. We got to get back. So you realize, I got to turn around and go back the other way. And so now you're a mile and a half back to camp. And if you're alone out there, just an older woman, especially if she didn't have a hat and no water, then, and no dogs or anything, then that can be really stressful and potentially really dangerous. Especially if you're dealing with things like, an injury, which is possible out here, but mostly like, there's snakes and scorpions, and there's bees. I mean, there's beehives. You can run into beehives out here. That's something I should mention is I've seen some insane bee activity, and I've got some of the footage from last year when I was here in Quartzsite. You can go back and you can see that. But bees, that would be probably the worst thing, because you might not notice it. You might stumble upon something and then you're swarmed with bees and you're screwed then. So that happened. She was fine or whatever, but it's just kind of a reminder that, yeah, you can panic out there, and bring your phone, and don't hike too far from camp if you don't have a little bit of supplies. So now I always take my backpack with when I go out into the desert. So I'll have water, supplies. I got a little survival kit, first aid kit, stuff like that with me, just in case. And with the phone and extra battery, of course, then that's going to help you the most. Because out here, I really have had a pretty good cell signal for the most part. I've tested Mr. Echo's tracker, which is another great way to get back to camp. If you want Mr. Echo's tracker here, Mr. Echo, come here. Because you can log onto that app and it'll show you exactly where you've been. Now this is Mr. Echo's tracker. You guys have seen this thing before. We haven't needed it here because this guy's been really a good dog. He hasn't chased anything. He's been a good boy. But you can log on to your account on your phone. It's super easy. Just pull it up and it'll show you exactly the path that your dog took. And you can just follow that right back to your camp. You don't need that. You can just pull up Google Maps and you can kind of see where you camped. You kind of have to find approximately where you camped and then put a pin down and then hike back towards that pin. If you haven't already pinned your location on Google Maps. He's a good dog. Oh, you're a good dog. Echo, come here. Okay, I'm going to show you guys what Ken Wagner Images sent us from our wish list. And this is something I put on my wish list because I've tried this before. We gotta keep Mr. Echo here because he's gonna be the test subject, which I've already used this on him. Actually, I just used this on him today. So you're gonna see how effective this thing is. This is the best dog brush that I've found so far. I've shown you guys another one that I really love. I'll have a link to both of those and this one down in the description. So if you want this product yourself, which I think you should probably check it out if you have dogs, then click that link down there because that'll really help us out. It's kind of a weird thing because it has this like saw blade on it, so you think it's going to hurt, but the dogs love it. The big test is Dodger, because Dodger he's not a big fan of getting brushed. He's like, quit touching me, But this one he actually kind of likes. Like it doesn't bother him. He still doesn't like being brushed, but I can tell that this feels good to him, right? So you can see I'm getting a lot of hair off already, and I just did his whole body basically like an hour ago. So you can see how much hair comes off there, and you can go both ways with this brush. Oh yeah, he loves it. Okay, sit. And check out under his neck here. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah. Do you like it? Do you like it? There we go. And you pull that white hair off onto his black fur, and it's like, wow. Because you can really see it coming off there. You see how quickly it comes off, and when it's a little bit windy like this, it's kind of the best time to do it because the hair just blows away. If I do get like a big clump, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll throw it in the trash or I'll stick it in a bush or something so it doesn't blow into somebody else's camp. I just figured like that would be annoying. But this site that I picked here, there's not really anybody too close, so I'm pretty lucky in Quartzsite right now. This place is packed. When I drove to get water the other day, man, there's so many people camped. There's so many people camped so close. Some of them are groups, they're friends and stuff like that, but some of them it's just people picking sites right next to each other. And it's just so congested as far as camping. But what I always say about the LTVA areas is if you drive out far enough from the entrances, you can find some pretty secluded, relatively compared to the others, you can find some pretty secluded sites. All right, well, I'll show you Dodger because that's really impressive. Good boy, Echo. Okay, go. Good boy. And this brush is awesome. So Ken sent us a note. He said, I thought this was the perfect gift. The dogs will love it, and it makes your life easier too. Which is actually a really great point, because as a nomad, I live with my dogs in the trailer full time. And so whatever they bring into the trailer, I'm living with. Whether it's burrs or cactus thorns or insects or leaves. Dodger gets leaves and stuff on him a lot because he's always walking in the bushes. But their fur, kind of gets everywhere, and you just deal with it. I get a lot of dust and dirt and rocks and sand and stuff in there too. But their fur kind of blows around, so I kind of vacuum every day to get basically the dust bunnies up off of the ground. But if you keep your dogs brushed really well, then obviously you're gonna have a lot less hair inside the trailer. But some of the brushes, man, they just take a lot more work, a lot more effort. This is kind of a low effort brush. So Ken Wagner Images, thanks a lot, man. This is super awesome. This is the best brush, best dog brush out there. I will vouch for this thing. Although I have only used it I've only been using it for a couple weeks now. I have used it in the past, this same kind of brush. So the longevity of it, it's just a wood block with basically a saw blade jammed into it. So I don't imagine it malfunctioning or deteriorating or anything like that. So I can vouch for the usability of this and the effectiveness of this on the dogs. I'm so excited to have this thing. And they sell different colors. So I wanted the orange one because as a nomad, you drop this thing on the ground and it's super easy to find no matter where you are. I tend to like stuff that's like fluorescent colored. As a camper, nomad, outdoors person, fluorescent stuff works really well. You don't leave it behind. So what else has happened? Well, I have another little story, which also takes place just right from here because I haven't really left camp except to get water for at least a week now. I heard somebody yelling. They were screaming. They were like cussing. And there were 3 Jeeps that I think had just pulled in off of the wash. And I think where they pulled off, they kind of drove through somebody's campsite. And then what's interesting is the next day, I saw a BLM, not a Ranger, it was just a BLM marked truck. And they kind of drove around. Maybe they were just looking for permits to make sure people had permits. Because I'm not sure, but I think they might have drove into my camp to see if I had a permit, and they just kind of circled. And then they pulled into this camp group, which is probably about, this must be eight rigs or something over there. And the BLM person got out, and I was, kind of looky-looing. They're not that far over there, and they were kind of walking around the campsite looking like they were wanting to talk to somebody. And I guess nobody came out to talk to them, or there's nobody there or something. So I'm wondering if the BLM person came over to talk to them about, I don't know, rules or something like that, or if because of the confrontation that had happened, or maybe they were just walking around checking for permits, and maybe they didn't have one of their permits, and so the BLM person wanted to talk. So either way, I think that's kind of interesting because I really rarely see anybody from the BLM at all driving around. I've seen every once in a while, I'll see a police car. I don't think I've ever seen a Ranger, it says like BLM Ranger on it, driving around out here. Every once in a while, you'll see them at the entrances. But I kind of got the feeling that it was somebody checking for permits. So my thought now is I guess people do drive around to check for permits. For a while, I was thinking, well, they never check for permits. I don't know where they check. They must only check when you go to the dump to make sure you have your permit. Put down in the comments what you guys think about, or what you guys know about the BLM people checking for permits. Well, I'm kind of losing my train of thought a little bit. My voice feels like it's getting a little bit hoarse. I haven't talked a whole lot for several days. So I think I'm gonna let you guys go here in a minute. I want to show you the brush action on Dodger. And I got some footage to show you, if I haven't shown you that already, of dust storms. Man, crazy dust storm. Several crazy dust storms. And I had Echo with me when I was getting water, and I had the windows rolled down because the sun was out, so it was a little warm inside the truck. Dodger wanted to stay back in camp. So I'm getting water, and then I see, this big cloud coming at the water station, just like a wall of dust. And I'm like, oh, crap. So I got to put the key in and roll up the windows. And just so much dust. So much dust. And really doesn't bother me. I don't really like to get dust in the cab of the truck. But we get dust inside this trailer all the time. It's something you just deal with. And I dust in there, pretty rarely, but my habit is every time I go to the dump, and this is just my lifestyle, every time I go to the dump, every week or 2 or 3 I go to the dump, I clean the inside of the trailer. And that usually just means like sweeping the floors, wiping down all the counters, cleaning the sinks, cleaning the stove. Maybe I'll clean the mirrors, things like that. But I don't really dust. Every once in a while, probably every couple months or something, I'll dust like the cabinets, because everything has a little ledge on it, Every window has like multiple ledges that you got to keep dusted. So depending on how dusty it gets, then I'll do some dusting. One thing that's great about Quartzsite, I talked about how when you're sick here, at least there's supplies and there's people around. It's totally safe. That's a good thing. But the other good thing is it's actually really quiet. And, here you can hear every once in a while somebody driving by. A generator or two might kick on, but for the most part, people are using the appropriate inverter generators. That's what you want to use. If you need to use a generator as a Nomad, you want to get an inverter generator. They're a little bit more expensive. They cost a little bit more, but they're smaller and they're a lot quieter. If you get one of those construction generators, nobody wants to camp next to somebody with one of those open frame generators. They're a lot more inexpensive. They're really powerful, but they're stupid loud. They're stupid loud. Do not get an open frame generator. Don't do it. Don't do it. There's no reason. I can't think of a reason to do that. Unless that's, all you can afford or that's all you have available to you. Get an inverter generator. This place has been really quiet. Every once in a while there's like a barking dog, that kind of thing. But at least when you're sick, to be in a peaceful place it's a good thing. So we've been getting a lot of new subscribers on the channel, and I'm super excited about that. I really appreciate you guys leaving comments down below. That helps the channel a lot. If you hit the like button, let us know you're watching. We like to know you're watching, and that helps the channel a whole lot if you do that, if you hit that like button for us. You can also hit the thumbs down button. I think that helps us too. Let us know if you hate this video. It's probably not one of the best videos because I'm just kind of sitting here telling the stories, but I wanted to put something out there so you guys know we're all doing good here and kind of fill you in on what it's like. I guess kind of this was my being sick alone as a Nomad video. But at least I didn't do it when I'm totally I was disgusting. And I thought it would make a great video because it'd be kind of dramatic, you could see how miserable I was. But then I just felt like I wouldn't watch that. I don't want to see somebody that's just miserable and in pain and like gross. So that's why I didn't record then for you. All right, let's go take a look at Dodger, and I want to show you this brush on him. It's very impressive. He's got an undercoat, so this brush is even more important. The first thing is we gotta make sure Dodger doesn't try to take off or hide under the trailer. He's not a fan of getting brushed. But like I was saying, this brush, it doesn't hurt him or anything. He also has the bad leg. This leg's good, but the other leg. Oh, here he's gonna show you. He's got his brace on, so he's got a busted knee here, and I've told you guys that story before. So see, the wind is just kind of blowing it right off. You don't really have to push that hard, and this gets in there and just pulls out all the loose undercoat. I hope you can see that just flying off of there. He has so much fur. Let's show them under here. So with his hurt leg, I just have to be careful kind of the way I hold him. That's why it kind of probably looks funny how I got my legs kind of trapping him in here, but I'm kind of holding up his back end a little bit with my knees at the same time because I'm just worried about putting extra pressure on his bad leg. So I kind of try to hold him up a little bit as I brush him and try not to put too much force, like downward force, on his body, especially on his back end. Can you see all that? And this tool does have like little teeth on it, but they're so short that with the hair keeps those little points from even reaching the skin. I think if you had a dog with hardly any hair, they might not like this, but you can see Echo loves it. He's a short hair dog. Oh yeah, there you can see all that hair coming off. Good boy. Good boy. All right, you guys want this brush now or what? Look at that. And I've been brushing him too lately with this brush. You can see how much hair he has left to go. It was kind of fun making a little video, kind of getting back into it for you guys. I miss making videos. I actually really have a good time making our videos. Most of the videos I make, I actually really have a lot of fun creating and then editing. I love the editing part. Adding the music, if I decide to put music in a video, and planning the video a little bit, like thinking about like what we're gonna do, what I want to talk about, or what I want to show you guys about nomadic living full-time. Like I said, in the next video, maybe a couple videos down the road, very soon, we're gonna trek out there. You can see the mountains out there. We're gonna trek out there pretty far. Mr. Echo and I, we will. And I'm gonna show you everything I see and have found and that I notice out in the desert. And there's a lot. There's a lot. People say there's nothing out in the desert, and I'm gonna prove those people wrong in that video. It does seem desolate and like empty, like void of life and excitement or anything interesting. And I think in some ways you could say that, but in the video that I make, I think I'm going to really prove those people wrong. So stick around. You guys, I hope you subscribe. If you're not subscribed, then please hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel. And then that way you'll always know when we release a new video. And usually we're doing about 3 videos a week. So if you're new to the channel, then hit that subscribe button, and you can see every video we put out each week. And watch the ones that interest you and skip the ones that don't interest you. I know a lot of you watch every one of our videos, and I have a lot of channels that I watch myself that I'm the same way. I'm like, oh, any video that person puts out, I want to watch every single one of their videos. So until next time, you guys.